We're all taught from a young age how to put a bandage on a scraped knee. But what about the wounds we can't see? Today, we're going to talk about a skill that's just as important, if not more so, in so many situations. It's called psychological first aid, or PFA for short, and it's really about that crucial first response when someone is going through a crisis.
Just think about that for a second. When you see someone fall and scrape their knee, you probably know exactly what to do, right? You reach for the first aid kit. But what's our instinct when the injury isn't something you can see on the surface? What do we do when a crisis leaves behind a deep mental wound?
Well, that's exactly where psychological first aid comes in. So let's go ahead and open up this sort of mental first aid kit together and really get a feel for what PFA is and why it matters so much.
So at its very core, PFA is actually pretty simple. It's a humane, supportive response to a fellow human being who is suffering. And what's so important to get right away is that this is not about being a therapist. You don't need to have all the answers. It's really about offering that basic, fundamental human kindness, just being a supportive presence in a moment of crisis.
Okay, I really love this analogy because it puts it so perfectly. If crisis management is the hospital system, psychological first aid is the bandage you apply immediately at the scene. It's such a great way to think about it, isn't it? PFA isn't the surgery or the long-term care. It's that immediate stabilizing help. It's all about comfort and safety, right there in the moment, often long before any professional help can get there.
So, why is this mental bandage so important? Well, its goals are actually pretty straightforward, but they're incredibly powerful. The whole idea is to help reduce that initial, overwhelming feeling of distress. It's also about fostering a person's own natural ability to cope. And in the long run, this kind of immediate support can even help prevent a traumatic experience from becoming a more serious, long-term issue. It's really about that combination of immediate support and powerful prevention.
Now, all of this might sound a little complex, but I promise you, the actual framework for PFA is designed to be super simple and easy to remember. It really just boils down to 3 core actions: look, listen, and link.
And these steps are just so practical. Okay, so first, you look. This means you're checking to make sure the scene is safe, and you're identifying anyone who might have really obvious, urgent needs. Next, you listen. This is where you approach people respectfully, ask what they need, and just listen. The goal is to help them feel heard and to feel calm. And finally, you link. This is about helping people with their basic needs. Simple things like getting them a glass of water or a blanket, and then connecting them with information or other kinds of support.
And what's really great is that these principles work just as well in our digital world. So if you're with someone in person, things like open body language are so important, right? But if you're talking to them online, say on a video call, the approach is a little different. You'd want to start by asking if they're in a safe, private place to talk. You'd make a real effort to look at the camera to create that sense of connection. And you'd use more verbal cues, like actually saying, "I hear you," to show that you're totally present and engaged with them.
Okay, so we've talked about what to do, but honestly, it's just as important to talk about what not to do. Sometimes the most helpful thing you can do is to just not do something that could accidentally make things worse. So let's go through some of these really crucial rules.
All right, these are the absolute don'ts of PFA. Number 1, don't force anyone to talk. If they want to be silent, that's okay. Your calm presence is often more than enough. Second, and this is a big one, don't try to diagnose them. You're not a clinician, so just avoid using any kind of labels. Third, don't make promises you can't keep. And finally, please don't judge their feelings or how they're reacting. Whatever they're feeling in that moment is a completely normal reaction to a very abnormal situation.
Let's zoom in on that no false promises rule for a minute, because it is so important. I know it's really tempting to say something like, everything's going to be fine, because we want to make them feel better. But the thing is, we don't know that. We can't promise that. A much more powerful and much more honest thing to say is, we are here with you right now. See the difference? That statement is true. It grounds them in the present, and it offers real, genuine support that you can give. So as we start to bring all of this together, what's the big takeaway here? When it all comes down to it, what is your most powerful and fundamental role when you're with someone in a crisis? Well, here it is. Your role is not to be a therapist. It's not your job to fix everything or to have all the answers. It is simply about offering safety, dignity, and a comforting human presence right in the middle of the storm. It's about showing someone, with your quiet actions and your calm energy, that whatever is happening, they are not alone. And one last very important thing, and this is for you, helping others who are in distress
It takes a toll. It can be incredibly draining. So please, remember to look after yourself too. Take time to decompress after you've been there for someone. You've heard it before, but it's so true. You just can't pour from an empty cup.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. Psychological first aid isn't just for big public disasters. It's for the everyday crises that our friends, our family, and our colleagues go through all the time. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Now that you have these tools, who in your life could you be a comforting presence for?